All right, guys. So we are looking at now putting together what we did Friday, GCFs, all of that, with what we did yesterday, just factoring. We're going to put the two together today. So those of you that were not here yesterday, pay attention. We will try to pull you back in, get you back up with us. Okay? So just a reminder of our signs. We always look at the last sign, right? There's two of them in there. We look at the last one. If the last one's positive, when you set up your parentheses, they should have the same sign, meaning they're both plus or they're both minus. Because you're multiplying to get a positive number. When you multiply two pluses or two minuses, right? Gives you the positive. If your last one is negative, your signs are opposite, meaning one's a plus, one's a minus in your parentheses. Okay? If we don't know this, everything else is going to be out the window. Okay, we got to get the signs down. Parentheses. Yep. Okay. So let's go ahead and start here. Think back to what we did on Friday. We pulled out GCFs, right? If you look at your flow chart of factoring, the very first thing underneath factor says GCF. That should always be the first thing you look for, no matter what, always. So is there a GCF in this problem? 2, right? 2 goes into all of them. So that's where we're going to pull out the 2. Again, this is going back to what we did Friday, pulling out a GCF. And again, if you need to write the divide by 2 on all of these, if that helps you out, you can. So if we take out our 2, 8x squared divided by 2, so 4x squared, right? I haven't changed that yet. Negative 22 divided by 2, so negative 11x. And then negative 6 divided by 2. All right, that is what we did on Friday. We just pulled out the GCF. All right, now we're ready to look at what we did yesterday. Okay, yesterday we set up our two parentheses. We filled in our signs. So my last one is negative. Last one's negative. That means my signs in my parentheses are opposite. So one's a plus, one's a minus. Okay, and then we wrote down our options for A. So what do you multiply to get a 4? 1 and 4, 2 and 2. I stressed having nice ordered lists yesterday. And we write down our options for C. What do you multiply to get a 3? Those are my numbers that I'm working with to try to get this thing to factor out. Okay, so we have a choice. Do you want to go 1x and 4x or 2 and 2? See, so 1x and 4x. And again, at the beginning, it's a guess. We're not sure. So we have 1 and 3. Do you want to go 1 and 3 or 3 and 1? Yeah, 3 and 1? I'm just writing down what you're saying. All right, and then do you remember to check this, you can do a full distribute, right? I can do x times 4x is 4x squared. I can do the whole thing, but I'm lazy. What do I check? Only the inside and the outside. So the inside, 3 times 4x is 12x. Outside, x times negative 1. And if I put my like terms together, I get a positive 11x. How did I do? Look at this. I switched my signs. Right, I got the number right, but this one should have been the plus. This one should have been the minus. Because then that's going to change all these signs and flip it to what I want. Yes? You'd have to flip all your numbers. So the easiest option is just flip your signs. Yep. Now, did I lose anything? My final answer. I'm going to tell you, you lost your baby brother. So when you guys hear me say you lost your baby brother, don't look at me like I'm crazy. I mean, I'm a little crazy. But this is your baby brother right here, right? He's tagging along. He is part of my problem. My answer, my solution, depends on how you like your baby, your little siblings, if you have them. So when I tell you you lost your baby brother, I'm telling you that you lost your GCF that you pulled out to begin with. This is part of your answer, okay? Because the goal of factoring, I should be able to take this and get all the way back up to the beginning. If you leave that behind, I would multiply these and I would get to this, but would you ever be able to get back to the beginning? I wouldn't. I still need him, okay? So I refer to him as your baby brother all the time, so when you think I'm crazy when I tell you that. Yep, toilet paper. Some of you saw that on your quizzes, right? I wrote that on there. You reused your toilet paper. Yuck. Gross. I wrote notes on your test like that. Okay, so I call him your baby brother because mom says watch him, and you're like you walked away. You left him behind. You need to bring him with you. Let him tag along and just kind of follow you down. Okay, make sense? Okay, let's try another one. This is one of those things in math, guys, that the more we do and the more we see, the better we get. All right, does this one have a GCF? 4. Will every problem have a GCF? No, they won't. All the ones we did yesterday, no GCF. All right, so I can take out a 4. So again, I'll write this here for a little while, but eventually I stop writing and divide by 4 in all of those. So if I take out a 4, what are we left with? Good, 2x squared. Perfect. Now, the question always comes up, what if I forget to take out the GCF? Can I still factor it? You can. It's not considered fully factored, though, unless you take out the GCF. Now, the big thing for me with taking out a GCF is you have a lot fewer options of numbers and choices to work with because it makes your numbers smaller, right? Like, originally, if I would write my options for C from here, you'd have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. You'd have a lot of options. Look how many options you got now. A 1 and a 3. Okay, so take out those GCFs. It makes your life a lot easier. All right, so we set up our parentheses. My last one is negative. So my signs are opposite. 1 plus, 1 minus. Options for A. How do you multiply to get a 2? Options for C. How do you multiply to get a 3? Whew, such choices to work with. Right? All right, so I got 1x and 2x. Do you want to go 1 and 3 or 3 and 1? I heard more people say 1 and 3 than 3 and 1, so we'll write that down. All right, so let's go ahead and check this. Inside gives me 2x. Outside, negative 3x. 2 minus 3 is a negative 1x. How did we do? Good, it works. Am I good? Right here? Done? Baby brother, don't lose him. Every time you forget baby brother on a quiz or test, -1. Every time. I've had students go from they should have had a high A to they got a B because they left every baby brother behind. Yeah. No, because this is me just trying to get to here. Notice if you multiplied it by 4, you'd get the one at the top. It's part of my final answer, but when I'm checking, I'm just checking to get this to be this. Because once I would multiply this to here, then I would distribute the 4 to take it back to the beginning. Like, why would you factor it? Okay, guys, question came up kind of like real world, like why? Like, why would you want to? As we're building on this, eventually we'll pull out a GCF of like an X as well. And anytime an X comes out, that's another answer. Real world stuff like this is used a lot, like business models and things like that. You could find like your maximum profits, your minimum profits, and things like that. And this would be how you would solve them to find out those values. So yeah, and again, if like in our case where it's not really giving me an answer, we're not solving yet, we're just factoring. But it still makes my number smaller and a lot easier to work with. Okay, fewer choices, right? When we get those lists of like lots and lots of choices, like it's not fun. All right, GCF on this one? Yeah, 2 goes into all of them. They're all even. All right, so if I divide them all by 2, perfect. Okay, so we pull out our GCF. Now, we're going to try to go one step further. Set up your parentheses. My last one is positive. So they're the same. Should they both be plus or both be minus? Both be minus. Otherwise, you'll never get the negative back in there. Options for A. What do you multiply to get a 2? 1 and 2. Options for C. And thank you for making a beautiful ordered list. Makes me happy. All right, we have 1 and 2, so 1x and 2x, my only options there. Do you want to go 1 and 15 or 3 and 5? 3 and 5? All right, so let's check. Again, that's what he said, the order he said him in, I wrote him in. That's all right, yeah. So that gives me negative 6x, multiply the outside, negative 5x, which makes negative 11x. And don't forget your baby brother. He comes out in front. Don't forget him. Mom's going to be real mad at you. I'm the little sister. I'm the youngest. But I was the only girl, and I have brothers, so they didn't really forget me as much. I always say, though, if I was another boy, that there wouldn't be a single picture of me anywhere in the house. Only because I was a girl, there are other pictures. Did you ever feel like that if you're the youngest? If you're the youngest, you get it. If you're not the youngest, you don't understand. Oh. Take out 3x. Nice. Yeah, and honestly, guys, what happens is so often people get so fixated on the number that they forget to look at the variables. And we always want to look for those too. But yeah, I can take out a 3x. All right, so if I take out a 3x, she just jumped in and stole your thunder. We divided everything by 3 and took out an x from everything. Divide by 3, don't subtract 3. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, take that x out as well. But I want to talk about something else as you kind of brought that up. Everything that we are factoring, and I need you guys to recognize this, everything we factor is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, meaning I have something with an x squared, then an x, then a number, right? So the way this original problem sits, you see how it's x cubed? No, everything we're factoring is an x squared, an x, and a number. Eventually we'll get to cube stuff and whatnot, but right now, no. So unless you can pull out a GCF to put it in that form, x squared, x, number, then you can't factor any further. Some people try to factor everything that's got like x to the 5th and x to the 7th. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, we're factoring x squared, x, number. That's the form they should always be in. Okay? All right, can I factor this further? Is it in the right form? An x squared, an x, a number. So I'm in the right form to try to factor further. My last one is negative. So they are opposite. 1 plus, 1 minus. All right, options for A. Options for C. Oh, we got some options here. Okay. Can handle this. So I got 1 and 7. So 1x and 7x. Don't forget your x's. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. 2 and 6. Do you want them in that order? Yeah. All right, so if we check, we get 14x minus 6x. That gives me a positive 8x. Just flip my signs. Yeah, it needs to be negative, so that one should be the plus, this one should be the minus. That'll flip all your signs. Good? Done? Baby brother. Thank you. Don't forget him. He gets forgotten all the time. It's very depressing. Poor little guy. Right? Yeah, your mom is mad at you. So, like, we're going to do an activity on Friday where, like, it's more of like a one-on-one thing where, like, you guys keep coming up to see me individually. And, like, I will tell that to people, and they'll look at me like, what's she talking about? I'm like, your mom is so mad at you. That means you forgot your baby brother, okay? Don't lose your baby brother. All right. You guys ready to try one on your own? Yes. Okay. Was there a GCF in this problem? 2x. Don't forget the x. All right, so if we divide them all by 2x, so what do we get here? 3x squared. Good. All right, so there was step 1. Next, we're in the form x squared, x number. Again, we've got to be in that form to even try to start going further. Last one's negative. One's plus, one's a minus. They're opposites. All right, options for A, options for C. Okay, so we have 1x and 3x. 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. 4 and 5. So if I check, I get 12x. Outside gives me minus 5x. Positive 7x. Awesome. And don't lose your baby brother. Did anybody lose their baby brother? Yay! You tried to take this to get that? All right, and guys, that is a mistake a lot of students make. Guys, make sure you're paying attention to this. When they're checking this, right, we're trying to get this number, not this one, right? We're just trying to go right back here. Multiplying by my GCF then will take me back up to the top. That's a common mistake. All right, I do want to kind of throw a couple extra problems at you here because I know what's coming and I know what questions are going to arise. All right, so just add it on here wherever you can add it on your notes. If I would give you negative 8x squared plus 24x minus 18. Right away, what do you notice about that problem that's different from everyone we've done? It's negative. Do we like a negative number being up front? No. So guys, this is something you need to kind of drill in your brains, highlight, star, circle, whatever you need to help you remember. If your first term, your A term, if it's negative, you got to take out the negative. Okay? So what number goes into all of those? 2 actually does. If it was just 1, you would take out a negative 1 to flip your signs. But since 2 goes into all of them, I'm going to take out negative 2. Okay, so divide them all by negative 2. Now be careful with signs when you do this. They're all going to flip on you. Okay? Those sign rules that I taught you about that last sign, they don't work if you have a negative as your A value. So if the first one's negative, you have to take it out. Got that? If the first one's negative, what do you got to do? Take it out. Okay, got to take it out. So what are we left with? A positive 4x squared. Then what? Minus 12x and plus 9. Okay, you guys see that? How your signs, they all flip. That changes everything. So if your first one's negative, you've got to take it out. Always, always, always. All right, so we're now left with our x squared, or x and our number. We're in the right form, so we can try to factor further. Last one is positive, so your signs are the same. Both plus or both minus? They're both minus. Good. Okay, options for A. 1 and 4, 2 and 2. Options for C. All right, you want to go 1 and 4 or 2 and 2? 2 and 2. 2x and 2x. 3 and 3. All right, so if we check this, we get negative 6x minus 6x, which is negative 12x. Does that work? Remember, we're not going back to the beginning, right? We're going to this line here. All right, and then you would not forget your baby brother. So this answer right here, you could see written like that. And I get the feeling most of you, you'd be comfortable leaving it like that. Is there another way that answer could be written? So the negative 2 on the outside, baby brother's still there. But you could see it as 2x minus 3 squared, because there are 2 of these that are exactly the same. Lazy mathematician's going to write it this way. okay? But just know that this and this, they mean the same thing. Okay, they mean the same. Just lazy mathematician wants to write less. So if that a value is negative, what are you going to do? You've got to factor it out. Okay, and it's going to change all your signs for that problem. Because then that changes your signs when you go to factor how you set that up. So will all problems have a GCF? No. Is it possible your GCF is only -1? Is it possible your only GCF is just an X? Yeah. Could you take out a number and an X? Could you take out a negative number and an X? Could you take out just a negative X? Yeah, you could. Okay, but the only time, I guys want to make sure I'm really stressing this, the only time you take out a negative, though, is if the first one's negative. I don't care about the rest of them. If that first one's negative, you've got to take it out. Good? Yes? You guys awake? Are we alive?